So 20 years ago, I was a graduate student at ASU in Tempe, and I was studying anthropology, and I had a passionate love affair with a fellow student in my first week of school, and it lasted through my second week of school. And I was devastated. It was very passionate. It was very hard for me to take. And I ended up at student health care talking to the triage person saying, is there a pill you can give me so that I can start eating again and I can stop crying? And I was sobbing and crying when I was talking to her. And she said something to me about, aren't men awful? And, you know, it's not fair, I'm sorry, men, but that's what she said. And of course she couldn't give me a pill, but what she did give me was the name of a really great counselor. And I saw him and had some time to heal. And I started feeling better and hanging out with other people. And I met this guy who was a political science graduate student. And he and I got to know each other, and we'd go on long hikes and argue about things such as, which is more egalitarian, a feudal society or an agrarian society? Or, do you think postmodernism is the wave of the future? Or, what's the best beer at Bandersnatch, our favorite bar? And he kind of was meeting my criteria. I had some minimum criteria for dating. You all have this, right? So I had 3 things at the time. First of all, had to like grilled cheese, because that was my main staple at the time, so that was big. Had to not really want to have a white picket fence and a bunch of kids, because even though that's okay, that's cool for those of you who like to do that, that wasn't my thing. And then the last thing was, had to have my same sense of humor, which I tested out by asking about the movie This Is Spinal Tap. And we could state many of the lines to each other, such as, it goes to 11. Or my favorite line from the whole movie, which are words we all should carry forward, words of wisdom. There's a fine line between clever and stupid. But I knew I was really, really falling for him. One night we went to a diner in Tempe after we had had a couple beers. And he started doing magic tricks with the sugar packets. Hey, what's behind your ear? I didn't know you had a sugar packet behind your ear. Things like that. And then he grabbed his throat and kind of went like that. And I thought, oh my God, is he okay? And he... and out of his mouth, or out of his throat, or whatever, came some sugar packets. And that was it. I was gone. Was anyone else? Is that how it started for you? But I started to notice little things about him. You know, when you're early on in a relationship and there are some things that are deal breakers, basically, you gotta stop before it gets any further. So for example, if the person drinks too much, or if they are posting inappropriate body parts on Instagram, or they, well, for example, if they have another girlfriend or boyfriend somewhere, and like in the case of that guy who broke my heart, he had 2 girlfriends, so it was pretty much, that was partly why it was devastating. But I noticed something about this guy, the sugar packet guy. And it was little things at first. So, for example, we were supposed to go to a movie. This was before cell phones, and we were supposed to go to a movie, and we were supposed to meet at a certain time. So I called him at his apartment from my apartment, and I said, I'm getting ready to leave. And he said, well, I'm sitting here in my underwear in front of my computer working on my thesis. What time is it? And I said, well, it's 1:45. You gotta leave now if you're gonna go. He says, do I have time to take a shower? Well, no, not unless the clock stops. And you know what he says? He says, okay, I'm going to take a shower and I'll be right over. No, you can't take a shower. Anyway, it was very frustrating and a little bit disrespectful, and it was uncomfortable for me, and I'll tell you why. Because I am a dyed-in-the-wool planner. I come from a long line of planners, and my father used to direct live TV, so everything had to be down to the second, otherwise you'd run out of time and you'd have dead air, or you'd have to cut a newscaster off in the middle of the sentence. So everyone in my family is like this. We have spare tires that are not flat. We have insurance. We kind of know where things are going. And when we take vacation together, we might spend an entire dinner talking about what we're going to do the next day. So we might talk about which cars are we going to take, who are the drivers going to be, when are we leaving, and what route are we going to take. Okay, by show of applause, planners? Yeah, you know, I knew you were going to be in the majority because it is a sold-out show. Yeah. Okay, non-planners, by applause. Okay, non-planners, how many of you came here with a planner? Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So, he was a non-planner, I was a planner. But he was getting through his master's program. He was writing his papers late at night, of course, at the last minute. He was probably charming all of his professors and being just great in class. And he was, doing fine somehow. All he had in his refrigerator was a half bag of spinach and some mustard, but he was getting by. So I kind of had to make a decision. We were early on in our relationship. So I had to decide, in the words of the great 80s band, The Clash, should I stay or should I go? What do you think? Stay or go? Okay, well, I stayed. Garrett gave that away a little bit, so you knew. But I stayed, but it wasn't that easy. It takes a lot of work to be a planner and non-planner couple. And in fact, I'm thinking of starting a support group called Al-Anon Planner and Planners. If anybody, there's a need for it. Is there a need? There's a need for it. And what I'm going to talk about is how we did it. And there were a few things that we had to do. For one, I've noticed he's become a little bit more of a planner than he was before. Although you'll notice he didn't get his ticket. He's not in the audience. And he said to me, for example, the other day, he said, well, I want to go to this thing on Friday. Should I get tickets? And I said, I just can't think about that now. Ask me later. Wow, that's a role reversal, right? But also, I learned a lot from it. I learned that it wouldn't kill me to be spontaneous now and then. And in fact, it was a lot of fun. And so I've learned to be better about that and know that I can't control everything that's going to happen, and I especially don't want to and can't control him. So often we will make a decision and I'll say, well, I'm going to do this and I'll buy my ticket for it, and if he wants to get a ticket later, he can. And that works out pretty well. We've even taken separate cars to the movie theater before so that I can see the previews. And he misses them, and that's fine, right? I mean, if that's what you need to do. I do have to say, it's been fun, it's been wonderful, it's been 20 years. But I will say, there are times when I say it's time to go, and I look in the other room, and he is sitting in his underwear in front of the computer, and I swear he says to me, do I have time to take a shower? Thank you.